Like thousands of other asylum seekers, this resident of Moria camp is lighting a fire to warm himself and cook lunch. And like thousands of others, he's using a piece of plastic to start it. Fires are the only source of heat in winter. Aid groups say they cause serious respiratory problems, and the burning of plastic makes them even more dangerous.
One of the asthmatic patients, the father explained to me that one night he came back home, they were heating the tent with the hot coals inside. And when he arrived back, none of his family members he wasn't able to wake them. And he had to drag them outside where they slowly recovered. So most probably this was like a carbon monoxide poisoning.
It's easy to burn rubbish because it isn't being collected. A local contractor is paid to pick it up inside the official camp and to a radius of 10 meters outside the camp fence. But within that space, we found this ravine filled with it. Greece's reception service is responsible for awarding sanitation contracts. A former director says governments don't properly oversee contractors.
A Greek public worker who's moved from the mainland and works for €475 and sleeps in the same conditions as a refugee stands in stark contrast to an NGO sanitation worker in Athens who earns €1,500 a month. This inequality explains why the final result in sanitation isn't what we'd like.
Raw sewage also seeps into this ravine where children play, because at 20,000 people, this camp is filled to 7 times capacity, and its sewage pipe overflows, a pipe designed years before it was built.
Clearly, the delay in building the sewage pipe was to extend the use of the sewage trucks, which cost huge amounts. In my view, over €4 million in Moria and the other islands. That money could have been spent on sewage treatment plants. They didn't happen. And why not? Because there were interests against it. I've sent this to the Lesbos prosecutor.
The government says it will take 10,000 asylum seekers off the islands and ship them to the mainland in the coming weeks. Another 5,000 will be offered a generous financial incentive to go home. And the European Union says it'll take at least 1,600 unaccompanied minors off Greece's hands. Reducing the numbers might be a short-term solution, but it does not address the deeper problem of mismanagement or relieve Greek taxpayers of the bills the European Union may refuse to pay as a result. John Saropoulos, Al Jazeera, Lesbos.
Dr. Apostolos Vezis is Director of Medical Operational Support for MSF Greece, who joins us via Skype from Athens. We appreciate your time so much. So even in the best of times, it is very difficult to get people to focus on this issue and what it is these camps are like. But now with this coronavirus pandemic, who is paying attention? Who is listening to how urgent it is to address this, particularly with the fact that the world is dealing with the pandemic?
Well, unfortunately, these people have been suffering for the last 4 years due to the virus called EU-Turkey statement. So we have more than 41 lives, children, women, and men, in a place that has a capacity of 6,095 people. So these people, yes, they are living in an overcrowded situation. They are living with no access to water and sanitation. And just to give you an example, in Moria, there is one toilet for 167 people, one shower for 200 people, and one water point for 1,300 people. So today, if the call of international community is avoid overcrowding, the camps in Greece are the synonyms of overcrowding. Secondly, if we're asking people to wash their hands, there's no point to wash their hands. And thirdly, the measures that the Greek authorities have been taking so far are contributing to make these people more sick. First of all, there is a lockdown of the people in the camps from 7 o'clock in the evening until 7 o'clock in the morning. There is a movement of people very restricted, so that means that people are under stress and under fear. Of course, this situation is being created not because of the coronavirus. I think even though late, better late than never, it's important that measures are put in place. First, moving out of these camps the most vulnerable ones, meaning the senior citizens and people with chronic medical condition. Second, trying to reduce the decongestion. And third, offer medical care for people, something that is not existing. I think the cause of the European Union, the cause of international community, it is possible to make them. I mean, the situation is difficult for all of us, but it's a situation that can be managed even today.
So let me ask you about this. John Saropoulos mentioned this in his story. Where do things stand on actually moving people and move them to where?
Well, first of all, people, they can be moved even inside of the islands in a safe facility where the people can isolate themselves and can take care of their hygiene. Secondly, they can be moved to the mainland. And third, they can move even to European Union level. So the idea is that all this declaration of moving 10,000 people and 1,600 unaccompanied children, these are just wish list and a press release. So in reality, if we want to move the people today, we can move them. European Union is moving its own citizens from different countries and is evacuating them. And I think it is possible to evacuate children, women, and men who are being locked and contained in horrible conditions. And they are not responsible for that. Responsible for this situation, it is the European Union and the Greek government. So I think they need to do at least the minimum to save the lives of people, to save them from the disease, and to save them from death.
Dr. Apostolos Vezis with MSF Greece. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Right, thank you.